All right, we're back on the record for the bond hearing in the case of State of Florida versus Ebony Wilkerson. We have Dr. Pamela Carabiner on the phone. The defendant is present in the courtroom, so is the state defense. Ms. Martin, go ahead.
Dr. Carabiner, I just quickly want to check and make certain that you can hear me. I'm on the court microphone. Can you hear me okay?
I can. It's a little bit wrong, but I can.
Okay. If you would just state your name, Dr. Carabiner.
My name is Pamela Carabiner.
How are you employed, Dr. Carabiner?
I'm sorry, say that again?
How are you employed?
I am a OB/GYN physician in private practice in Daytona Beach.
Have you ever had the opportunity to treat Ebony Wilkerson?
I have.
When was the last time that you saw Ebony Wilkerson?
It was postpartum day 1, the day after she had her baby.
If you could tell the court a little bit about the way that she acted, both during the pregnancy and thereafter when you saw her.
Do you want from the time I first started working with her? Or?
Well, we previously had testimony regarding that, Dr. Carabiner. I'm not certain whether the judge wants to go back over the previous testimony that we had in the last bond hearing.
I have the notes.
Okay.
My recollection is, I remember what she said. She didn't at that time have any medical records to verify any of the conditions of the defendant. She was waiting on those medical records. I recall her testimony, but you present it however you want.
Sure. Dr. Carabiner, I guess let's kind of do a thumbnail sketch of when you previously saw Ebony.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Sure. Let's kind of go through a little bit when you first saw Ebony. If you could talk about her condition from that date until when you last saw her a few days ago.
And I do not have the records in front of me. My apologies in the operating room. But when I first met Ebony, she appeared to be alert, proper, appropriate, and we commenced with her prenatal care as we would do with any patient in or out of the hospital. I did observe episodes of when she wasn't in her best frame of mind, but at the time of delivery, when the morning I visited her in the Halifax psychiatric ward, was not yet in labor. We went over what our expectations would be for care in general. Later that day, she went into labor. I met her again in labor and delivery. She was calm, appropriate, having normal amount of anxiety that any mother approaching the pain and uncertainty of labor and delivery would have. She delivered unexpectedly a baby boy and was very appropriate in how she handled the delivery, bonding with her baby boy at that time, and the early recovery. Because in one of her previous pregnancies there had been an episode of postpartum complications and bleeding, I asked that she be allowed to stay an additional day because I did not want her to have a delayed postpartum hemorrhage and not have immediate access to medical services. So on postpartum day 1, I explained that to her and the correctional officers that were present in the room. And then before I could see her again, she was discharged.
Dr. Carabiner, prior to Ebony giving birth, did you have any concerns that the birth itself might trigger any episodes?
Not at all. She basically handled the labor and delivery with the same fear or grace or qualm that any young woman in labor would do, and she was very appropriate in all her responses, such for pain medicine, how she handled the delivery itself, and then the opportunity to be with the baby afterwards.
And was her demeanor appropriate when she was with the child?
Yes, I felt it was.
Dr. Carabiner, in your opinion, did she appear, based on past postpartum diagnoses, did she appear to have any symptoms of postpartum after this delivery?
Do you mean postpartum depression?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, yes, ma'am. Not the hemorrhaging, the postpartum depression.
It would be too early to tell us. The time with her was not extensive. But any woman can have significant postpartum depression, and certainly one anticipating being separated from her infant quickly, I would expect it. She was certainly quiet. She wasn't exuberant or giddy or or joyful or inappropriately. I think her demeanor was appropriate for somebody who wanted to see her baby, but knew that that time was limited.
Dr. Carpenter, in your experience with Ebony, particularly when you last met with her, did you feel like she would be a danger to herself or to others?
From my experience with her that day and the day after, I did not see any behavior that would suggest that.
That's all I had. Thank you, Dr. Carpenter. The state attorney may have some questions for you.
I have no questions, Jim.
Okay, the state doesn't have any questions. Anything else from the defense? All right, Dr. Carabiner, that's all we have. Thank you.
I wish I was in this difficult situation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this particular time, we would call Mr. Ludful Ranjan.
Okay.
What's your sleep, sir? No, thank you. Please try to keep your voice up to speak with your voice.
Good morning, Mr. Ranjan. Can you state your full name for the record, please?
Spell it.
Sure. Lutful Ranjan, Lutful
Okay. Mr. Ranjan, what is your relationship to Ebony Wilkerson?
I'm the husband.
Okay. And how long have you been married to her?
We've been married for 12 years.
Okay. During that time of your marriage, which states have you resided in?
New York, I lived in Virginia, I lived in Florida, currently South Carolina.
Okay. And at present, do you happen to know if your wife has a driver's license?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And which state is that driver's license for?
Florida.
How many children do you have with Ebony Wilkerson?
4.
Okay. And at present, do any of the children reside with you?
Currently 1.
One, and that is the most recent birthed child?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Wilkerson, as you know, has been charged with these offenses, and as her husband, are you willing to post a bond should a financial bond be set?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Approximately, what can you afford to post as a bond?
Right now, I could probably do $21,000.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
State.
You said 21,000, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us about how you'd be able to post that bond. Where would those funds come from?
Well, I've been working for a long time.
Doing what?
Savings,
Doing what?
jobs.
What jobs?
Well, I'm a mechanic by trade, and I've been in sales for a long time.
Where do you work?
Currently, I work for a convenience store.
Whose convenience store?
Excuse me?
Whose convenience store?
It's owned by my parents.
Do you own any convenience stores?
No, sir.
Do you own any interest in any convenience stores?
A little bit.
What? Describe that, please.
Small percentage.
How many stores?
2.
How many stores does your family own, meaning your father or anybody else in your immediate family?
3.
Where are those stores located?
South Carolina.
Anywhere else?
No, sir.
So do you own interest in 2 of those 3 stores you stated?
Yes, sir.
How much, what does that mean? How much interest do you have in those 2 stores?
About 10%.
And do those stores generate income for you,
Yes, sir.
apart from any salary you might have?
Times are pretty hard. The economy's pretty tough, so not a lot.
Is that the only source of your income?
Yes, sir.
Those convenience stores?
Yes.
And how long have you lived in South Carolina?
It's going to be almost 5 years since 2009.
And has Ms. Wilkerson, the defendant, your wife, also lived with you at that time, for that whole time?
Not the whole time.
Where would she have been?
Florida, when she was pregnant with our third child.
Okay, describe the time frame, please.
She came a year later than I did. She was pregnant and her doctors were there, so after birth she had moved up.
So when did she join in South Carolina?
2010,
Where did she stay when she was in Florida?
at our residence,
Where is that?
Boynton Beach.
So in 2009, you had a Boynton Beach residence in Florida?
Yes,
Was that a home?
apartment.
So a rental apartment?
Yes,
Did you own the apartment, or was it, you rented from a company someplace?
apartment complex.
Okay. Did you not have your residence in South Carolina at that time?
Yes,
Where was the family residence?
well, she was still in Florida, so she was in Florida, I was in South Carolina.
Where is home?
Florida.
Even now?
Right now, South Carolina.
You stated you know that your wife has a Florida driver's license?
Yes,
She still has a Florida license?
yes,
Does she have a South Carolina license?
no.
Do you know why not?
She hasn't had a chance to go around and changing it, and she would travel back and forth.
But her residence has been in South Carolina for how many years?
About 3 years.
Do you still have the apartment in Boynton Beach?
No,
Is her driver's license addressed at Boynton Beach?
I'm not sure.
Have you seen her driver's license?
No, I mean, I don't go through her purse to look at driver's license, so no.
How do you know she has one?
'Cause she drives, and she's in the insurance policy, so if you're asking me details, no, sir.
Okay. It's no secret that she's alleging at some point that she's in an abusive relationship and you're the abuser.
No, sir.
You don't know that? She's alleging it. I'm not saying it's true.
No, sir.
You did not know that?
If I knew that, well, through media.
Okay. Well, was there an episode at Myrtle Beach earlier this year?
Yes, sir.
And was that along the lines of an allegation that you did something to her that she did not want you to do?
Well, at that point, I've told the authorities that I think there was something mentally wrong with her.
Was that the allegation?
Towards me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Again, sir, I'm not saying any of that's true. That's what she's reporting.
Yes.
And you also know that she left the state of South Carolina earlier this year, correct?
Yes.
Without your knowledge, you did not know that, right? Or
Yes.
When she got here, that's when you found out she was actually gone, correct?
Yes.
That she was down in Daytona Beach and all this had happened with the beach and the van and everything, right?
Yes.
The van in question, who owns that van?
It's in my name.
And how, is that something you owned or were you making payments on?
Finance.
Now, the Myrtle Beach, not to get too much into the facts, but the Myrtle Beach incident, we'll call it, or at least the allegation involved in Myrtle Beach earlier this year, that was, you all went as a family to Myrtle Beach, right?
Yes.
And that was for a dance recital for one of your children?
Yes.
And did you come into possession shortly, while you were in or shortly after at Myrtle Beach, a backpack that one of your children had? Was that given to you by somebody that had some money in it?
Yeah.
How much money was in that backpack?
I'm not sure.
Was it thousands of dollars?
No, sir. When you have 4 kids, you don't have thousands of dollars.
It wasn't a backpack that contained about $4,000?
No, sir. It was just enough money for travel.
What do you think that was for?
For travel.
Travel
For
where?
expenses.
Which child had that backpack? You can use initials.
Well, I have put it in there. accidentally, and I didn't even know. So one of the mothers, that was for my daughter, and when they found it, because I didn't find, I thought I lost my credit cards and my money. And it's just one of the mothers found out that it was in her bag, and I found it. They found it and they called me, and that was very nice of her that she found it. Other than that, I would have been stranded.
And your testimony today is that backpack did not contain several $1,000s?
No, sir.
Are you aware that when your wife left South Carolina, she packed all 3 kids, pretty much all of their possessions, as if she was never coming back to South Carolina?
Could you repeat that question one more time?
You are aware now, of course, that when your wife left South Carolina with the van, she packed up the 3 kids, all of their possessions, all kinds of things from the house, right?
Not all of their possessions. The majority of their possessions were still at home.
Have you had communication with your wife since she's been in the hospital with the child, the newborn? Has she called you?
A few times.
Okay, what did she discuss?
Just what she was going through.
Did she tell you that she wanted you to have the child? Meaning the newborn, take it with you?
Well, she told me to take care of the kids.
And just to be clear, you said you've lived in New York.
Yes, sir.
That's when you met her, correct?
Yes, in high school.
She was living there as well in high school. Did you say Virginia?
Yes.
Is there any contacts with Virginia, any connection to Virginia now?
No, sir.
Do you still have family in New York?
No, sir.
Does she still have family in New York?
Yes.
Did you ever travel outside of the states that you mentioned for business or anything else?
How recent?
Say in the last 6 months.
No.
Have you been in California recently?
No.
Okay, sir, thank you. I have enough for that.
You're welcome.
Any redirect?
Yes, if I may, Your Honor, thank you. Mr. Ranjan, when we discussed the $21,000 bond that you indicated that you could come up with, you're talking about the 10%, $2,100 in cash?
Yes, sir.
I didn't hear that.
You're talking about $2,100 as the 10% for a bond, not the full $21,000. At present, do you have any savings accounts?
No.
Okay. Do you own any stocks?
Well, other than those, the small percentage, no.
In the business with your father?
Yes.
Okay. Do you own any real estate?
No, sir.
Okay. The automobiles. Do you own automobiles?
No, sir. They're financed.
They're financed. In whose name are they financed?
Mine.
Okay. Is your wife's name on any of those vehicles?
No, sir.
All right. Do you presently have any outstanding debts?
I do.
Okay.
Credit card debts.
Say that again?
Credit card debts.
Okay. And can you put a round figure on it, approximately?
About $6,000.
All right. Last year, do you have a recollection of what you indicated to the Internal Revenue Service was your income?
I would say about 37,000.
Okay. Now, this, you were asked about your wife taking possessions of the children to Florida in the back of the van. Was there any indication to you that the amount of clothing or objects that she took was anything more than she would have taken if she was going to Florida with the kids?
No.
Okay. You indicated that she has family in New York. That would be her natural father, correct?
Yes.
All right. In light of her natural father in New York, she also has a stepfather here in Daytona Beach, correct?
Yes.
A sister,
Yes.
a brother.
Yes.
She's got aunts living in Flagler County.
Yes.
And this incident in Myrtle Beach happened just before the incident down here in Daytona Beach, which brings us before the court. What was your wife's behavior before she left?
It wasn't normal. And I've put that in with the authorities that I have told them there's something wrong.
Okay, there was something wrong. Now, we've also heard testimony about an incident that occurred in 2005.
Yes.
That incident that occurred in 2005 caused her to be placed in the hospital in New York.
Yes.
Okay? And at that time, that pregnancy, there was a pregnancy involved, was there not?
Yes.
Okay? Which pregnancy was that?
The second child,
And second child was
Lathan Ronjon, the boy.
a boy,
Yes.
okay? She didn't have a psychological problem again until this summer, right?
Yes.
So each time she was pregnant with a boy, she ended up having psychological problems.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the pattern.
And have you noticed a change since you have talked to her after the child was born to where she seems to be talking better?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions.
Mr. Sullivan?
Was there an allegation of domestic violence back in 2005 as well?
Yes.
That's in Boynton Beach.
Yes, sir.
Also, most recently, one of the sisters, Miss Carol, Jessica Carroll, filed an injunction. She didn't pursue it ultimately, but she filed an injunction that she was afraid of you. Is that right?
Yes.
What is your relationship with her and the Carrolls?
I've never really had a problem with them.
Okay, thank you.
Just one last question. I'm sorry, this is not responsive to the recross, but do you know if your wife has any financial ability to post a bond?
No, sir.
No or no, she does not?
She does not.
Thank you. No further questions.
Anything else?
Why doesn't she?
Because she was a homemaker.
Does she get her money from you
Yes, sir.
and only you?
Yes, sir.
So you control how much money she gets?
Control, well, I wouldn't call it that way. I mean, you have to make a family work. You have to pay your bills, and you have to make a living.
She only gets her money from you.
Well, yes, I'm her husband.
Okay.
All right, sir, thank you. You can step down. Defense, next witness.
Please to call Ebony Wilkerson.
Ms. Wilkerson, will you raise your right hand and be sworn by the court?
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you shall give in this call to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Come on up, please.
Judge, before we continue with this testimony, can you come sidebar, please?
you want that? All right. For the record, the defense has stipulated that the defendant is competent at this time to testify.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
Ms. Wilkerson, if you would introduce yourself to the court.
My name is Ebony Wilkerson.
Ms. Wilkerson, how old are you?
I'm 33 years of age.
If you would, tell the court about your previous residency, including your time in Florida.
Yes, I lived in Queens, New York. I was born in Queens. I moved to Astoria, Queens. I then moved to Brooklyn, New York. And I also moved to Virginia for a brief period. And then I lived in Florida. And I moved to South Carolina. And then moved, well, I'm currently now here in Florida again.
What year, whenever you left Virginia, your first stint in Florida, do you know around the time that was, what year that was?
That was in 2002.
And your time in South Carolina, when did that begin?
I left at the end of 2010, beginning of 2011.
Left for South Carolina?
I left for South Carolina, correct.
If you would tell the court a little bit about your educational background.
Yes, well, starting with high school, I got a Regents level diploma. I went to college at the State University of New York at Oneonta, and I was in the process of getting my bachelor's there in mass communications. I also had concentration electives in political science. I also studied women's studies, as well as African and Latino studies and social sciences.
How many years did you do at SUNY?
It was 3 years.
And why did you leave?
I left because I was pregnant with my first child, and I needed to, to take care of myself in my pregnancy.
Do you have any other certifications?
Yes, I was Bell certified. In computer technology. I also have a little bit of a background. I did some online courses and in the medical assisting field.
If you would tell the court a little bit about your employment history.
Yes, most of my employment happened in South Florida, actually. I did start with the company J.P. Morgan Chase, which was through a staffing agency, and I was a vendor. I was a loan officer, loan processor there, as well as a modification coordinator. In addition to that, I went into a small company which was Syntex. In Syntex, I was a vendor administrator there. And then I worked at Riverstone Residential at a property called Vinings at Delray. And there I was a leasing specialist.
How long were you at that job?
At that job, I was there for 2.5 years.
And most of your employment, all that you have just named, that's all been in Florida?
Florida, correct, yes.
Ms. Wilkerson, tell the court a little bit about what family you have in the area.
Yes, I have my father who's here, my sister.
I just want to clarify really quickly.
My stepdad, let me be specific, yes. My stepfather, he's here. My sisters, my brother, my aunts, cousins, a lot of family out here.
And your stepfather, he's the one who was kind of the father figure throughout your life.
Since I was 10 months, my father has been my stepdad. I don't call him my stepdad because that's just the way I was raised. I always call him my father. But yes, since I was 10 months.
How long has your family been in this area?
Well, this was actually around the time my mom passed away. In 2008, they moved the year before that, and that was in 2007.
And are some of them located in Volusia County?
Yes, they are, yes.
And in surrounding counties, like Flagler?
Like Flagler County, yes. Palm Coast area.
Now, this was raised a moment ago. What kind of driver's license do you have?
I have a Florida driver's license. I actually kept that because I always traveled back and forth throughout the years. So I always wanted to keep the residency here and also in South Carolina. So I kind of have a dual residency.
Okay, so do you keep it because you, I guess, feel connected to Florida? Your family's here?
Absolutely. I have family here, so I always kept it, here as well.
I'm sure the state attorney is going to ask you about this. What address is on that license?
It is the Boynton Beach address.
Okay, but you no longer live there.
No, I don't.
Do you have a passport?
I currently do not have a passport.
Do you own any property at all in Florida or South Carolina?
No, I don't.
Ms. Wilkerson, are you yourself able to afford any bond?
No, I cannot.
What about a $1.2 million bond?
Absolutely not.
Since being hospitalized and incarcerated, have any medications been prescribed to you?
Yes.
Do you feel like those have had a positive effect?
Absolutely, yes.
And previously, in 2005, you had a stint in which you were showing signs of postpartum depression. Do you feel like any of those symptoms, are you experiencing any of them currently?
No, not at all. I feel like I'm back to my normal self, and I'm feeling like my old self, like old Ebony. Yes.
Do you understand that if you are released on bond or if you are on pretrial release, do you understand that you would need to continue taking this medication?
Absolutely, yes.
Are you willing to do that?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
What about continuing counseling?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Wilkerson, it's no secret that you previously were pregnant. Today, are you pregnant?
No, I'm not.
When did you give birth?
I gave birth on May 19th to my beautiful little boy.
And since giving birth, do you recognize a difference between where you are now versus 2 or 3 months ago?
Yes, absolutely. I feel way better. I feel like my normal self.
Ms. Wilkerson, have you ever been charged with a crime prior to this?
No, not at all.
No previous criminal history?
No, not at all.
Do you have any feelings that you wish to harm yourself?
No.
Do you understand the importance of your attendance at all future court dates?
Yes, I do.
Do you feel like you are linked to Florida?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And if required to stay in Florida, are you willing to do that?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't have any further questions at this time. Steve?
You wanted your husband to have the newborn.
I'm not sure of the question.
You wanted your husband to take custody of the newborn child?
I presume that's the way it happened because I'm in the situation I'm in.
Didn't you want him to have that child?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That's what I'm asking you. Your intent and desire was for him to have that child
Yes.
in his custody. And of course, you remember making allegations, very serious allegations of abuse and violence over the years against your husband.
Yes.
Are those allegations not true? Such as the most recent one in Daytona Beach.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry, objection what?
Relevance as well as outside the scope, Your Honor.
Okay, overruled. Go ahead.
We'll talk about the Myrtle Beach allegation that kind of was directly prior to your arrival in Florida in March. You alleged a violent act by him against you to the authorities in Myrtle
Yes.
Beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you later recant those allegations?
No, I didn't hear.
You never told them it didn't happen?
No, I didn't. No.
You maintained that it did happen?
I never told him that it didn't happen.
Do you maintain right now that he did what you accused him of doing in March?
Yes.
And that was a sexual assault?
Yes.
And you maintain that you also reported to those authorities that he inappropriately touched one of your minor children during that assault?
I put that down. Yes. Yes.
Do you still stand by that allegation?
Yes.
So you still hold that belief now? It's not something that you were thinking then and realize now that that's not the case?
Again. Yes.
But you still feel that he is a appropriate caretaker for your children, including the one you allege that he had touched inappropriately?
At the time, yes.
And what about now?
Yes.
You say you hold on to a license that's really not valid. You know that, right? Florida license?
I didn't know that there was no.
Okay, you know that now, right?
Now that
You
you're
don't-
telling me that.
You don't live in Boynton Beach. You haven't for years, correct?
Okay, one question at a time. You don't live in Boynton Beach, was that the question?
Yes.
No, I don't live in Boynton Beach.
And you haven't lived there for years.
Right, I haven't lived there for years.
Have not lived there. It was a rental apartment.
Correct.
What was in Virginia?
I didn't hear you.
What was in Virginia?
I don't understand your question.
You said you lived in Virginia briefly.
Right.
What was there for you?
Well, my husband moved there, then I ended up moving there after, while I was in school, actually.
And do you recall telling investigators in this case, after the incident on the beach in Daytona, that that was an accident?
Did I recall? No, I don't recall saying that.
That you unintentionally ended up in the surf?
I don't recall saying, I don't
Objection,
remember what I
relevance,
said.
as well as Fifth Amendment. I don't believe we should be going into this, Judge.
Sustained.
Do you have a follow-up appointment or anything like that with the mental health people to follow up with your condition?
I do have a follow-up appointment with Dr. Padilla, and I do, I'm not sure with the, what do you mean by mental?
Well, you saw some doctors that evaluated you, right? The mental health people.
Correct.
They were talking with you. Also, that was Dr. Danziger.
Right,
He
correct.
talked to you about this case, and another Dr. Crow.
Yes,
There was also a fellow out at, another psychiatrist out at Halifax, right? Dr.
correct.
Do you have any other appointments that you're aware of to see any of those people or other people in your profession?
Not at this present time because of where I'm at.
And how long have you been at the jail now?
Approximately a week.
Are you taking any medications?
Yes, I am.
And what are they?
That medication would be Haldol.
Do you know what the dosage is?
It's 2 milligrams.
How often do you take it?
That would be once in the evening.
If they give it to you, of course. Back in 2005, it was reported that you were taking that medication or something similar in 2005 in New York.
It would be something similar, yes.
Okay. And in those reports that we looked at, it stated that you decided not to keep taking those medicines. Is that correct?
Correct.
Why did
I'm
you-
not sure completely what it was, but I'm going to say.
Why did you decide to not take those medications anymore?
At the present time, I took the medications that was necessary. The doctors that saw me, I was on the outpatient, and they said that it was fine if, if I'm feeling like my normal self and I'm doing well, that I can, I don't necessarily have to take the medications.
Don't necessarily have to.
But if I needed it, basically, if you feel yourself going through something, it's just like anything you have. It's like if you have a headache, you take a Tylenol for it. It's just like anything you might take if you need it.
That's your belief of that type of medication?
Well, this type of medication, at that time, that was what I believed. But right now, I believe that, yes, I absolutely need to take the medication just in case, and I will consistently take the medication.
Okay. When you came down to Florida in March, what did you have in your van?
What did you have what?
In your van? What did you pack in your van when you left South Carolina?
I don't know all the specifics that I had in the van at the time. I brought
Objections to relevance.
What's the relevance?
Her experience at packing and leaving the area for good.
Okay. Overall.
What type of things did you pack in the van when you left South Carolina?
I packed clothes. I packed pretty much things that I would need. I packed funds for like, money, just basic essentials to have, for me and my kids. Most of the kids' items.
Okay, did you take any documentation?
I took some of my documents too, yes,
Like
because I
what?
needed to have documentations here.
Like what did you take?
I took just like pictures and documents and like I would believe it was tax information if I wanted to have some to start to have proof of my taxes and stuff like that.
What type of pictures did you take?
Just regular pictures of the family.
Like off the wall or wallet size?
It was all kinds of pictures, off the wall, of things that I had, wallet size. It was all sorts of things.
Did you take any telephones with you?
I had a telephone, I had my cell phone, and I believe I'm not sure if I had my telephone or not. I don't remember everything, as I said, that was in the vehicle.
You took, you said tax returns, how about immigration papers?
Again, I don't remember everything that was in the vehicle.
What was the length of your stay going to be in Florida?
It was based on how I felt. So I know that I was hopefully, going to stay as long as I can, start to see if I can get my life out here, and see where it goes with that.
Meaning you weren't going to go back to South Carolina?
But I wasn't intending to go back to South Carolina. I was doing everything out here. That's what I was trying to do.
Was your intent that you were going to leave your husband?
At the time, yes.
So you packed for good, leaving?
As I said, I wouldn't say for good. I was going to see how things were going to be, and then, take it from there.
I have no further questions, thank you.
Any redirect?
Yes, Ebony. Ebony, when you packed these items, were you packing to get away from court?
No.
From what?
Court, any kind of court event or anything to do with custody? Was that the reason for packing? Isn't it true, weren't you advised to come to Florida?
Yes, I was advised.
How did that happen?
Florida. I spoke to, I believe, one of the representatives from I think officer, or
Was it the rape crisis?
Yeah, the rape crisis. Oh, the rape crisis that I spoke to. She basically let me know that if I have family down in Florida, then it's better for me to go out there and to connect with them and see how it goes.
And you followed that direction?
And I followed that direction, yes.
Ms. Wilkerson, since you do have a Florida traffic history, have you ever gotten a traffic ticket in Florida?
Yes, I have.
Do you know how many?
It's 5.
Were you ever to appear at court for those tickets?
Yes, and I went to every court appearance that I had on.
So you never failed to appear?
Oh, no.
Now, after this incident, is it your understanding that your husband willfully went to counseling?
Yes, absolutely, yes, he did.
And it's your understanding that he is currently in counseling?
Yes, he is, yes.
The papers that the state attorney brought up, immigration papers, was that your paperwork?
No, I think I just had papers in there, so that wasn't my paper because I'm a United States citizen.
So you didn't specifically try to take that immigration paper?
No, it just was there, it was in there.
And again, you understand that if a bond is imposed that you're able to make, or if you're released to pretrial services, you will need to appear at future court dates?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Any recross, Mr. Sullivan?